love is a strange beast, whether you love Jesus Christ or you happen to be like the movie Pretty Woman, you love a prostitute or you love a gigolo, whatever the case may be, it matters very little. As long as you love, there is going to be separation, there is going to be longing, you're going to be moody, you're going to be angry because the separation is keeping you from union with your companion. So, since human beings have a tendency of corrupting everything they touch, let's talk about separation and how healthy it is. And I'm going to use the story that Dante gave us. And I'm going to make my own story, really. So here is this young man named Dante walking around Lakeshore. All of a sudden feels like he wants to have a nice cup of coffee from Pete's, maybe Starbucks. And so as he's walking to the coffee shop, he sees this really, really, really attractive young woman. And her name just happens to be Beatrice. And what happens? You see something out there, and for some strange reason, you find it to be attractive. And if the attraction is intense enough, you begin to fantasize. You begin to create the psychological narrative. I wonder what her name is. I wonder how old she is. I wonder how often she walks around the lake. Is she single? Is she attached? Is she married? Does she have children? Is she as attractive up close and personal as she is from a distance? And if you're a human being, something really interesting happens to you. Whenever you become attracted to anything, if the attraction morphs into desire, if the desire turns into interest, if the interest turns into infatuation, if the infatuation turns into obsession, if obsession morphs into love, you want to touch it, man. You have all these intense emotions inside you, and these emotions live inside your physical body, and they need something physical to connect to. You just can't have the desire exploding inside you. It doesn't work that way. You'll just go crazy. It's like you love someone, you want to scream that you love them, but you don't know where to go, what to do, whose ears you can trust. And so like Ali, the cousin of Muhammad in the Islamic tradition, you say, since I can't really trust people, and since I can't find anyone who's as mature as I am, therefore no one can really understand me, I'm going to go look for a well, this hole in the ground, and I'm going to shove my head into this well and scream. And what the well will do is it'll echo back. And then I can hear my own voice, but it has echo now. It'll go inside me. And all of a sudden I realize I'm in good company, the well. So the thing you need to understand about separation, longing, yearning, passion, is that because they live inside the physical body and because we are human beings and we want satisfaction, we will do whatever we can to bring our desires to life. Your desire, Zachary's, eventually you'll find yourself at the shop and you'll wait for the pizza to come your way. And then you'll put a slice on your plate and you put it in your mouth and you say, my God, this is delicious. Now you have union. So whatever you desire, whatever you long for, ultimately you want to touch it. You want to taste it. But Dante is really wise, He's really, really wise. This is a man who sat back and he studied. He knows what we human beings do. You enjoy the first 20 cups or first 20 sips of coffee, but then you get tired of it. Your taste buds adjust themselves, and then after a while, it just becomes normal. And then you become somewhat indifferent, and then you become bored. And then when the class is over, even though your cup is half full, you just throw in the trash. It's no good anymore. We do that to coffee, we do that to money, we do that to people. Dante knows that when there is this great intense desire inside you, with any intense desire there is longing. As long as he's over there, and once in a while we can text, maybe for 10 minutes out of the 24 hours we can just connect on the phone, I will continue to love him. But if he or she was to come and stay with me Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I won't yearn for him anymore. I won't long to see him. I won't desire him as much, or her. By his or her mere presence, overstaying his or her welcome, he contaminates the way I feel about him or her. I love Plato from a distance, but the more I read the dialogues, the more familiar I become, and the less I long to be in the world of ideas. I love philosophy as long as I don't walk into an academic environment, and as long as there are no philosophy professors, because then they will bring philosophy that lives in heaven. They bring it down to Laney, they bring it down to San Francisco, they bring it down to Berkeley. And there is politics involved, there is bias involved, there is temperament involved. And the philosophy I used to love now turns into crap. I keep looking at the clock because I want the class to be over. This is not what I signed up for. I signed up to be in love and to stay in love, to have yearning, to have longing, to have my passion protected at all times so I can live with it for the rest of my life. But now I realize when I touch it, it just turns into dust. And all that remains is a memory. So you know what Dante does? He's a young man. He sees a young woman. What does he want? He wants to get close. He wants his shoulders to touch. He wants to hold her hands. He wants to gaze into her eyes and be mystified. He wants to hear her voice. Maybe he wants to kiss her. I don't know. But then all of a sudden, God sends down a revelation to him. Dante, he says. And Dante is paying attention, you see. What are you doing? Dante says, I was walking, minding my own business. All of a sudden, this woman appears to me, and she begins to occupy more and more space within me. And Dante is about to take a step forward towards Beatrice to see her up close and personal. And he says to himself, man, from far away, she just looks so good. And then as he is about to make his move, there is another revelation. Dante, Dante, God says to him, do you know that she has a big pimple on her nose and one on her forehead? And Dante says, whoa, 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 pimples on her forehead and her nose? That's not very attractive. But he says, no, I must have been daydreaming. And then he takes a few more steps forward, and there is another revelation from God. Did you know that her voice is very, very, very high-pitched? When you say, hello, my name is Dante, she's going to sound like this. Hi, my name is Beatrice. Could you really tolerate that tone of voice? And then again he says, no, I must have just been daydreaming. I'm not worthy enough for these revelations, you see. He takes a few more steps forward, and there's another revelation. God says to him, she hasn't showered for 3.5 months. She smells really, really bad. And this third revelation, just stops him. And so he longs to be with this woman. But he also has come to realize that because of the pimples, because of the tone of her voice, because of the bad smell, what's waiting for him really is disappointment. He still longs to be with her. And something very strange happens to Dante. He sits and he cries because he now lives in two worlds. The perfect world of ideas and ideals, imagination. He wants to be with this woman, and the awfulness of life. Her voice, her acne, the fact that there is no running water so she can't shower. How could he bring these two worlds together? The world of perfection and the world that's filled with wrinkles. And after many, many, many sleepless nights, many tears, many prayers, he has this fourth revelation. When you love something or someone, you all of a sudden become religious. You worship. It doesn't have to be Yahweh, but you worship the person. And when you're in love, love blinds you to all of their flaws. You don't see pimples. You don't care about the tone of their voice. You don't care how bad they smell. That's what love does. It baptizes the person, both the lover as well as the beloved. Just baptizes them. God says to him, if you want to continue loving Beatrice, do not allow yourself to be human. What the hell does that mean? He asks God. Not to be human. To be exposed to a cup of coffee, have that cup of coffee create desires inside you, where you long, yearn to have your thirst quenched on a cold day with a nice cup of coffee from Starbucks or Pete's. And yet you're telling me not to have it. That makes no sense. And God says, whatever human beings touch, they corrupt. Not because they want to. That's just how it is. Again, he asks, so what must I do? Love her from a distance. The hell does that mean? Desire creates this passion for union. I want to be with Beatrice. How the hell can I worship her from a distance? Up close and personal, you'll see pimples. Your love will suffer cracks. Up close and personal, your ears will be contaminated by her high-pitched voice. Your love for her will suffer more cracks. Up close and personal, she will smell so bad that your union, you will put it on the cross and you will say, I want to run away from her. Don't do that. Love her from a distance. What do you mean? It means from a distance you will look at her. You will see her long hair, silky, big brown eyes, fair skin, and you will continue to fantasize, to imagine, to daydream. You will never physically be intimate, but will fantasize the intimacy in your imagination. But to love from a distance means you're always going to remain broken, because the human part of you wants union, physical union. But the more divine part of you says, no, the world of Caesar and the world of God, they shall never meet. The problem with being broken is you're always going to bleed. You're always going to be in discomfort. You're always going to long. It's like you're always going to have your toothache, this cavity, hit the nerve. Always. That if you don't see Beatrice from a distance, your imagination, your thoughts of Beatrice, they're like thorns inside your soul, always poking at you. How could you rest? How could you eat? How could you smile? How could you have a good time? How can you define pleasure as smoking and drinking and chit-chatting with your ridiculous friends? How could you be focused on work, on school? How could you live in the conflict between Caesar and God? How could you be patient enough to keep praying and having your prayers go unanswered? How could you remain broken for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years? How the hell are you going to express your brokenness? What the hell do you get in union? You long for coffee, you drink it, you become indifferent. You long to get married, then you say, I want a way out. You long to have children, then you say, I want my own space. You long to graduate, then you find yourself in a cubicle at a crummy job. Everything we touch, everything, eventually you just get bored.